Red Spark, Discord, and True Love by Switched Out. Even after when Red Spark was born, she was very odd, different from many other opponents in Equestria. Since her father was Tirak, a reformed villain, and her mother, Galaxy Star, an alicorn, was not a princess. She lived with her family, with her sister, at a nearby Ponyville, just nearby in North Caves, or the mountains. But she went to Ponyville at school. At first she was quite shy. She didn't have any friends. But the only friend she had was Twilight and her friends and of course her sister. But she never had any other friends after school, except her sister. Ever she tried to make friends at school, but many of the friends' classmates called her a freak, a monster, or even a half-breed, mostly calling her the most different monster from Tartarus. You often said, "You shouldn't be here. You should be in Tartarus for the rest of your life, like your father," said some of the points. When she told her parents about it, Tarek was, even he was reformed, he couldn't resist to be very angry at them at one of those meetings at school. He told the teacher, Miss Shirley, about this, and she didn't know about it, since the other opponents didn't told about this. And when Tarek told the parents to this child who said that to his daughter, they said, "Well, you should marry an alicorn even being here. You should be in Tartarus, since you were a villain many years ago." Even that made Tarek even more upset. But he had promised his wife, Galaxy Star, not to use his strength or any to absorb magic for anyone. But he told them, "I am reformed, and I have the same right to live here as you. If I were to return back to Tartarus, you shouldn't live in the poverty in the mountains for a year to see how you feel." And hear that from the parents. They just looked at Tarek and realized they would never survive without their money and even live in a cave for a whole year, since their family was kind of a rich middle-class family. So from that moment, they told their son and to stop bullying Red Sparks, and from that moment as well, no other ponies bullied her ever again. In fact, from that after that moment, she got a lot of more friends at home. But it was just one particular friend she was very close to, and that was her friend Discord. Discord and Red Sparks were close friends, even she was just a villain. Discord even sometimes babysit her and her sister, often as they could, when their parents was away to some sort of royal meeting or something. But even when Red Sparks turned into at least 10 years old, she started to like Discord even a little more than as a friend. But at the same time, she knew that they would never work, because he is over 1,000 years old and she is only 10. But her feelings for Discord remained for the next many years to come. After she graduated from school, she decided to travel around in the Equestria to see what else was out there, and maybe to visit her uncle and her grandparents in his father's homeland. She often spent months and even a few years at her dad's homeland to become trained as how to be as a cantor, and also to learn more about her family history, about how to be a princess, since her father is still the crown prince of their land. At first, she didn't want to be a princess, because to be that, she had to stay in the homeland for all eternity. Well, not for an eternity, but for the rest of her life, for the most part. Because she loves her family and her life in Ponyville, with all her friends and even Discord. So to live in the homeland, it was actually difficult for her, and she wanted to live with Discord. But at some point, she thought maybe he wanted even that since she's a half unicorn, half alicorn, and Kentaur and Discord as another type of different species. She didn't know if they was even allowed, either in an Equestria or in her father's homeland. But she wouldn't give up to her feelings for Discord. So, one day when she returned back home, she found out that Tirek was ill. And the only thing that could cure him was actually a plant from his homeland. So, but it only grew in one part in the northern mountains, quite far from this castle in his homeland. And Galaxy Star wanted to leave her husband alone. Either Respark's sister, she remained at her family's side all the time to look after her father, and Respark said, I will go find a plant for father. But, honey, you can't, it's so far, and you won't make it. But father hasn't much time. You said it yourself. If he doesn't get this cure soon enough, he might die. And you don't want him to die, do you? And when she said that to her mother, she realized that her daughter was true and right. Because without the cure, Tirek wouldn't survive much longer. He had a high fever, and the fever wouldn't get down. Even they tried to cool him down and give him some cold food or something. Even Twilight and Celestia, Loon and Cadence, all of them tried to help, but all their help failed. Even Starfall the Bearded, he tried to make up a spell, but failed as well. Even they searched all the ancient books of medicine, but nothing. All to the end, a failure. So Red Sparks asked Discord if he could follow with her back to her father's homeland and find the plant. And of course, Discord and Tirek was not good friends at start, but after he found out that Tirek was actually reformed and had a family, he wanted help. And since they have became good friends, and he didn't want his friends to die, so they both traveled to her father's homeland. In the homeland, she met first her grandparents and her uncle. They were first told about this when they arrived, and Terek's mother, she was very shocked about hearing that her son might die, and even Scorpion, he said, "No, my brother can die. He's strong. He's very strong." But even Discord can confirm it was true. But he had to find a plan to save him. We know where it grows and where it is. In the northern mountains from here. Both her grandparents looked at each other. Did you say northern mountains? Yes. You shouldn't go there. Why? The areas there is so too dangerous. Many have went there, only few have returned back home alive, or even at least not seriously injured. How so? Because around the mountains there are very strong winds. Not even I would even go up there, said her grandfather. Even I wouldn't go there. And even I would try to, I wouldn't do that even if I had to sacrifice my whole life, even for my brother, says one. But I'm willing to do it. I won't let my father die. No matter what happens, even if it risks my own life. And Discord is here. He can help. He can use his magic to protect us. Can't you? And she looked seriously at Discord. And Discord first thought she did it. Should he tell the truth or lie? But he decided to tell the truth. Well, my truth is that I don't know if my magic can help as well, but I can at least try, and if either of them work, we have another spam plan B, which is I teleported us back here, and hopefully someone else can find the cure for your father before it's too late. But Discord, you can't say that. He is your friend, and you know him for centuries, and why would you do it? And hearing from her, came as a shock to him. Now, let's go. I don't want to waste more time for this. And just as a single snap of Discord's fingers, and they were standing right at the top beneath the mountains, and they were very tall, almost the same height as Mount Everest, almost. And they couldn't see the tops because of the dust cloud, and they could even hear the strong wind. Are you sure about this, Red Sparks? Said Discord. Yes, I'm sure. Now let's go. And they tried to fly up, but that was a bad idea because with the strong winds up there, they were blowing around and forming a tornado and flew down on the ground again. And Discord tried to use his magic to create some sort of barrier around them so they could fly up. At first it worked, but to the end later on, when they reached almost at the top, it failed. It was not some sort of natural anti-magic spell up there. Just the spell didn't last that long, but long enough for them to find the cure of the plant, one on the cliff on the mountain, brought it back to the castle, where the royal doctor made the cure for her father, and she was just right back to Ponyville right in time. If she had come back a day or 2 days later, it had been too late. But she returned back in time, and this T-Rex was back to health just another week later on. From this moment, after T-Rex was back to health, Red Sparks felt it was night time, now the time to tell Discord how she felt for him, even if she will be rejected from him. But she didn't care if he tell her, I'm sorry, Red Sparks, but I don't like you the same way. I just like you as a friend, a good friend. But she wanted to tell him, no matter what would happen. And, of course, she did. And to surprise to her, Discord actually just left without saying a word. And she didn't see Discord for the next few days until he returned back to their home. He said that he needed some time alone to thinking about it and process all this, what she told him. And she realized that he would say, I like you too, Red Sparks, very much. To hear that, she was stunned. She thought he would say, I'm sorry, Red Sparks, I don't like you that same way. Just a friend, nothing more. But then, T-Rex found out that Discord liked his daughter. And Discord thought that T-Rex will snap his neck about this or absorb his magic again. But all he said was, well, Discord, welcome to the family. And Discord, he was stunned and shocked that T-Rex was so friendly at it is and said, welcome to the family, Discord. And from that moment, Red Sparks and T-Rex dated for at least a few years before Discord had the courage to tell and ask Red Sparks the question to marry him. And of course, Red Sparks didn't need much time to answer the question. She answered yes immediately. And the wedding, well, it was kind of unusual because this was a wedding between Aldraconicus and Alicorn Cantar hybrid, and that was the wedding of the century or even the millennium. And afterwards they went to Discord's dimension, Chaosville, for the honeymoon. And they both actually had a much time, great time together there. They played a lot of games. They had snowball fights with each other in his dimension, all kinds. And they often talked about maybe one day start a family. But Red Sparks wonder, since Discord is immortal, he will live forever, but she won't. She wants to stay with Discord no matter what, even she would die. But to a surprise to her, Discord had actually gave her one big gift she didn't know about. He gave it to her after the wedding, and it was immortality. It means that she wouldn't even die. She would never age. And when she heard about this gift, she was very surprised about it. And even she thought never that he could give someone or any pony the same ability to live forever like him. But since they were going to spend the rest of eternity together, they decided to start a big family. And just after 5 years, they had 2 daughters, twins. But Discord, he wanted even more children someday. And sure enough, another 4 years later, they had a son. And all their children had parts of from their father and their mother. And even they had part Centaurians in them. They were still princess and prince of T-Rex homeland as well in the next order. And even they were also granted immortality, but not from their father, by birth. They were born as immortals. And from that moment, T-Rex was happy to be a grandfather, and even his parents was actually happy to be great grandparents. And Scorpion, he was more than happy than ever, because he was also to be a father to these 3 sons, a triplets. But unfortunately from that, Scorpion, his wife, didn't make it during birth. After his last son was born, she died. And that made him heartbroken. But he will always remember kindness and as a part of it, since as part of her lives on in his sons, which he is happy for. And that's how Discord and Red Sparks found their true love and got a big family, and how much they loved each other for all eternity. The end.